Hey folks, it's Jeremy Whaley here, and last week I made a pretty big announcement. It's called the Income Engine Incubator. This is a new program, kind of a mastermind that I'm putting together, and I made the announcement last week, and I'm super excited about it. We've got some great response, but we also created a little bit of panic in some people. I got some emails from some people that have been following me for years that said, oh no, are you going to stop teaching us about trading, and are you leaving Trade Maestro? And the answer is no, nothing can be further from the truth. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, we're expanding Trade Maestro and we're going to make it bigger and better than ever. But in the process, there's some other stuff that needs to get expanded along with it. And if you've been with me very long, if you've been following my work, then you've seen me teach a concept that we call the financial fortress. And this is really what Income Engines is tied to. In the financial fortress model, if you've ever seen me teach it before, then you understand that this is basically a metaphor or a model for how your cash flow works, how your financial planning, if you will, is designed. Across the bottom, you have your foundation, that's your essential living, your spending plan and whatnot. And across the top, you have your extraordinary living. This is your lifestyle, dream living, nice things and stuff. And in the middle of it is what I refer to as your cash flow columns. And cash flow columns are basically how you feed your financial fortress. It's what is built upon so that it can stand and not come crumbling down. Now, if you've seen me teach that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen me teach it, then I'll try to remember to put a video link below that you can reference that. But you kind of get the idea just by looking at this picture right here, okay? So what are income engines? Income engines are the little cash flow columns that build out your financial fortress. And this is why it's such a natural thing for me to expand into and start teaching. Plus, I started this 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. And because of various reasons, we kind of put it on the back burner for a while. And so now I'm just bringing it back out. Okay, that's all it is. And so we're just expanding into a natural arena. So let me kind of go into it a little bit for you and help you understand. For those of you who are asking questions, you say, what is an income engine? Well, first and foremost, an income engine is a system. It is a system that generates income. This is the most important principle that you need to understand about an income engine is it needs to be a system. In kind of qualifying for a system, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's going to be repeatable. It means that it's going to be scalable. It means that it's going to be passive in terms of the cash flow that it creates. And here's the most important thing. Once it gets built, if you've built it right, it should run like a machine. Now, if that sounds exciting to you, then welcome, you've come to the right place. This is what we're going to be talking about in the Income Engine Incubator. So let me give you some examples here. Here's several examples that you should connect with. For example, an online business. If you get that up and running, it can be a perfect income engine, or an Airbnb rental property, or maybe if you built an AI software service like a SaaS, a software as a service, or a vending machine business, or a franchise. All of these are examples of an income engine. And the reality is an income engine can be vast. I mean, it can be huge in terms of what the possibilities of income engines are, or it can be a very narrow scope. So there's a very, very wide spectrum of where this can sit. So let me share a couple of key characteristics that you're looking for when you're building an income engine. The first one, as I've already mentioned, is you want it to be a system. Now, inside system, it means by nature, it's going to be repeatable, and it's going to be scalable. We want it to have positive cash flow. I'm not looking at negative cash flow. I hate this idea. Whoever came up with this idea that you have to run a business and it has to take 2 or 3 years to become profitable, that is the most dumb 20th century idea ever. No, we start these things and we're going to basically be cash flow positive from the very beginning. A key characteristic of our income engines is they need to be leveraged, meaning that we can automate them or we can outsource to wherever it is that we want to outsource. But the bottom line is you're not doing the work all the time. Now, I want to be clear. That doesn't mean you never have to do any work, but you know, at some point in the fairly foreseeable future, you're able to either automate the processes so that it runs consistently on its own, or you can put the right people in place that they can do it, and you basically just manage it and keep the engine running. Another characteristic is it needs to solve a real problem. So we're not trying to just go out there and create little micro businesses that run and it doesn't do anything. They need to solve a real problem. Another key characteristic is they are transferable, they're sellable. So you have a real asset that you can actually sell as an asset that stands on its own. And maybe the most important is it needs to be stackable. It needs to be something that you can create multiple of the same thing and you can build it into an ecosystem that will flesh out your financial fortress. Okay. So let's talk about some lucrative ideas that you could be looking at. The way I'm going to define lucrative is lowest capital and highest ROI. Okay. And I put here lowest capital versus highest ROI, but it's not really a comparison. It's not one versus the other. It's lowest capital with the highest ROI. So I should probably change that slide. Anyway, the ones that I'm the biggest fan of are online businesses. This is what I've made the most money with in my life. I've made well over 8 figures a couple of times with online business. And this to me is the lowest capital enterprise that you can start with the highest ROI. Now, there's another area that we could also look at, and that is network marketing or multi-level marketing. But here's the reality. Very few people are waking up tomorrow saying, let's see what kind of a new network marketing MLM I can get into. The problem with that business model, even though there's a lot of good things about it, and yes, it is scalable, and yes, it can create passive income, the problem with that system and with that model, while it does fit a lot of the criteria, you're constantly having to go enroll new people to basically buy into your dream. We don't want that. I don't want that kind of a model. So that's why I have honed in on online business as the most efficient way to do it. And the cool thing is you can start very cheap. Usually we can do almost anything that we want to start for less than $200. Oftentimes it's as little as free. In fact, one of our income engines that I'm going to teach you is as little as free. Literally, you can start it and get it going for $0. Okay. So if you're completely dead broke and you're like, I got to go start something, I'm going to share one of those income engines with you. You can turn a profit in less than 30 days. That's the cool thing about an online business. You don't have to sit here and run it in the hole and wait for 2 or 3 years before you can make a profit. That's a crazy idea from like 100 years ago. A global marketplace. Whenever you do business online, you have a global marketplace. Here's the best part. Known systems and processes. Almost everything that you could want to be able to do on the internet today has already been solved. And so it's easy for us to take that, turn it into a system that is repeatable, that is scalable, and it matches the criteria of an income engine. There's unlimited scalability to online businesses, at least most of them there is. You can do them anywhere. You can do them at home. You can do them on the beach. You can do it in your RV. You can even do it on a plane. You can do it on a train. Okay, a little Dr. Seuss for you there. You can do it anywhere. Literally, online businesses, you can pretty much execute anywhere you can get internet, okay? And here's the best part. They're easy to leverage. It's easy to turn on automation. With today's modern tools, automation is easier than ever. And if it's not something that can directly be automated, as in just runs on its own, then it's almost always something that we can outsource, and we can either hire help locally, overseas, through various outsourcing agencies. There's all sorts of ways that you can basically just turn this thing into a business that runs like an engine. Hence the name Income Engine. Now, let me tell you some stuff that's not a great idea. Not all online businesses are created equal. There's plenty that are not a good idea. And I'm sure if you're like most people, you've probably tried some of these. So let me hit on a couple of these. You've heard them at least mentioned. For example, an Amazon FBA. What is that? It's a fulfillment by Amazon. This is a business model that it can be very lucrative. Here's the challenge. It requires overhead. It requires you get inventory, usually from overseas, either from China or, usually from China, but overseas. And you have to bring in these products. Now you've got to actually figure out how to get them on the front page of Amazon, and you got to do all this SEO for it. You've got the overhead, and it's a great concept, but it's not the kind of income engine that I'm looking to build. And that's why I don't teach that model, because it's not very lucrative from the efficiency standpoint, okay? Another one is the Etsy store or the Gumroad store. These are very popular. You see a lot of people out there saying, oh, you should just start an Etsy store. And you know what? It can work. But here's the challenge. Once again, it doesn't meet our best criteria because it requires a ton of your time. And, the systems and processes that go into making the Etsy and the Gumroad stores work, usually a little bit more than you're going to want to do. Here's one that's really popular right now. I have a lot of people that send me these ideas and say, hey, what do you think of this? Drop shipping, and specifically drop shipping products and using paid ads to sell those products. And while it can be done very, very thin margins. It's hard to automate. It's really hard to outsource. I mean, basically, if you're outsourcing it, they may as well just do it themselves. I mean, it's a model. It can be done. Statistically, less than 3% of the people who do drop shipping ever make even $10,000 a month. And it's just not a very lucrative and efficient model. Not saying it can't be done, just not efficient. How about building a software as a service from scratch? Look, I love SaaS. I love this whole business model. And if you have the skills to do it, fantastic. The thing is, the overhead to get to the final product is not very efficient, and it could take you months, or in this case, it could actually take you years before you ever turn a profit. So while I'm great with the concept, it doesn't fit our model for a quick, scalable income engine. Trying to be an influencer. Again, I love the concept. I love the model, and some of the key features that I do teach actually play off some of the principles of influencer. But the idea of going out and trying to be an influencer and turn that into a career, basically what you're doing is you're turning yourself into the product, you're turning yourself into a job, and now you got to go do that. And that kind of breaks down the whole system of scalability and outsourceability and automation. So not a really great one. How about this one? Hey, we can go freelance on Fiverr or one of these outsourced sites. And you're right, you can. But there's no automation. You are the automation. You're basically somebody else's outsource when you do that. So nope, not an income engine. Here's what we're looking for. We're looking for something with low overhead. We're looking for something that's quick to deploy, quick to get to launch. We're looking at something that's easy to automate, easy to outsource, easy to scale. It needs to fit into a larger ecosystem. And here's my favorite thing that we look for. We're looking for something that is fulfilling and gives you meaning. And what I mean by that is this. Most people, when they're looking for an online income, when they're looking to kind of add to their financial fortress or they're looking to replace a job, most people are literally doing that, looking to replace a job. And they don't realize that by giving up this one job over here for this, what they're really doing is just kind of creating an exchange of one prison for the next prison. And that's not what you want. And I know that's not what you want. What you want, because you're a human being, you're like every other person, is you want to have the income, you want to have the cash flow, but you also want to feel like you're contributing and you're growing and it's actually feeding your soul. And for me, that's one of the most important things that an income engine should do. It should fit into your larger ecosystem of your overall financial fortress, and it should also be something that is rewarding to you. So if that sounds exciting to you, and if you think about your financial life and you say, you know what, I need to get some more cash flow columns, then go ahead and check out the Income Engine Incubator. There'll be a link here, and go check it out. Go look at some of the stuff that I've got on the website, and then schedule a call and let's talk about it. Let's see if you're a good fit for it. If you're a great fit, then let's get you in there. Let's get you up and running. Our goal with the Income Engine Incubator is to get you started, and about every 90 days, maybe 120 days, just kind of depends on the pace that you want to go. But what you're going to do is you're going to be spinning up a new income engine. And we've got some very proven systems and models that we'll be sharing with you, up to and including creating your own products. But you don't have to create your own products. You can do it with other people's products. There's all sorts of ways you can do it. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to do any of the stuff that you're scared about. You actually don't have to do that. There's a model. There is a system that will work for you. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So if this sounds like it's interesting for you, then let's schedule a call. Let's talk about it. Let's find what would work for you. And then again, if it's the right fit, let's get you into the incubator and let's start incubating some income engines for you. All right. When you're ready, go check it out, schedule a call, and I look forward to talking to you soon.